Mueller investigation. A diplomatic crisis in Venezuela escalates as U.S. diplomats leave the country. And a classical music conductor defying the odds while breaking glass ceilings. Next on PBS NewsHour Weekend.
PBS NewsHour Weekend is made possible by Bernard and Irene Schwartz, Sue and Edgar Wachenheim III, Seton Melvin, the Cheryl and Philip Milstein family, Dr. P. Roy Vagelos and Diana T. Vagelos, the JPB Foundation, Rosalind P. Walter, Barbara Hope Zuckerberg. Corporate funding is provided by Mutual of America, designing customized individual and group retirement products. That's why we're your retirement company. Additional support has been provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you. From the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center in New York, Hari Srinivasan.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. The longest U.S. government shutdown officially ended last night after 35 days.
The joint resolution as amended is passed.
Congress passed and President Trump then signed a bill that funds the affected government agencies for only the next 3 weeks, with no money for construction of a border wall with Mexico. But Mr. Trump said he would not give up on building a wall, and he tweeted this morning that negotiations with Democrats would, quote, start immediately. All of this comes as the special counsel's investigation enters a new phase with the indictment of Mr. Trump's longtime advisor, Roger Stone. For analysis of what is and is not in the latest indictment and what may be next, we turn now to Ryan Goodman, a professor of law at New York University Law School. He is also the founding co-editor-in-chief of the website Just Security, which focuses on U.S. national security law and policy. Thanks for joining us. So what was the significant part? What did you learn out of these indictments?
So I think the most significant part that we didn't know before is just how intricated the relationship was between the campaign and Roger Stone. So he had formally left the campaign months earlier, but it seems apparent that the special counsel knows that he was in regular communication with senior Trump campaign officials and then on a specific mission to get information about, if not actually get, the stolen email documents that WikiLeaks had. So that changes the complexion of our understanding in some respects of the Russia investigation, because if Roger Stone is acting essentially as an agent of the Trump campaign, it can implicate the campaign itself legally.
Look, the White House's line in response to this is no collusion. Where's the proof that we knew what the Russians were doing and we were working in concert with them?
In this particular instance, the facts that are alleged by the special counsel in terms of what the truth is versus what Roger Stone testified about to Congress. So what the truth is, there are data points there that you could look at to see whether there was coordination. Roger Stone was told by his intermediary that WikiLeaks has information about Hillary Clinton's health, and then is told by that intermediary to refocus the campaign's messaging around Clinton's health, which they then do over the next month. Even to the point that at the end of the month, Chris Matthews on MSNBC is saying things like, what's happening? There's a major pivot in the campaign. Why is this going on? And now we know that at the beginning of August, they were told by the intermediary who had apparently met with Assange, this is going to be a document dump in the future. So that kind of coordination with WikiLeaks, you can see the evidence of it in the indictment.
What does Roger Stone do? I mean, he said, I was never in communication.
I think he's in a world of trouble, so much so that I think he might have to very seriously think about pleading and cooperating. You know, just one example of it is that apparently on the very day that he tells Congress that he has no text messages or emails with person 2, he has 30 text messages that day, according to the indictment, with person number 2. It's pretty clear, and that's devastating. So I don't really understand what his game is at this point, except for this other, wild card of a potential pardon or something like that.
Well, what does this teach you about how Mueller's investigation is progressing, maybe the legal framework that he's operating within or stretching toward to include?
So I think it does suggest that Mueller might have a much bigger revelations in store. What several former federal prosecutors have said is he could have actually charged conspiracy to coordinate campaign messaging with WikiLeaks. Roger Stone actually doesn't just say he wants to get information from WikiLeaks, but he actually wants to get the documents. That's with person number one. He says, get the stolen emails. With person number two, he sends a very specific document request. He wants WikiLeaks to give him a document section on Hillary Clinton when she was serving as Secretary of State and her policy over Libya. That could be charged as a federal election campaign law violation, soliciting something of value from a foreign national. If you're trying to read the tea leaves, there's a very good likelihood that's the direction that this very well might go. And he's just accumulating some of these people because now they've just done the search warrant on Roger Stone's home, have much more information. Roger Stone, if he flips and cooperates, can say who his conversations were with on the campaign, can say more about the connection with WikiLeaks. There might be a lot more there over the coming months.
All right, Ryan Goodman from NYU School of Law and the Just Security blog. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
More nations joined the United States today to demand new elections in Venezuela. At a UN Security Council meeting this morning, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo urged support for Juan Guaido, who declared himself president on Wednesday. Pompeo called President Nicolas Maduro's government a, quote, illegitimate mafia state.
Now it's time for every other nation to pick a side. No more delays, no more games. Either you stand with the forces of freedom, or you're in league with Maduro and his mayhem.
France, Britain, Spain, and Germany said they will recognize Guaido unless Venezuela calls new presidential elections within 8 days. New York Times reporter Ana Vanessa Herrero is covering the developments in Caracas. She joins us now via Skype. Ana, we have a situation now where you have multiple parties, multiple countries from the outside recognizing Guaido as the president, and then at the same time, you've got the military that has expressed, at least publicly, their support for Nicolas Maduro.
We are witnessing what Venezuelans know very well, two Venezuelans, two different realities in the same country. We now witness two presidents, but before we had two Supreme Courts, one in exile and one in the country, and two attorney generals, one in exile and one in the country. And the thing that caught our attention is that even though the defense minister said that there is a coup against Nicolas Maduro also said the same thing. Juan Guaido is still on the streets. He's still out there. He's still calling people to the streets. He still gathers a lot of people. He called for a huge demonstration next Wednesday, and he's still, out there, just doing what he said he was going to do: stay there until Maduro is out of the usurping presidency.
Well, what is the situation on the streets, regardless of what's happening politically? Your economy is in free fall. Food is hard to get. Describe what it's like despite the politics.
Well, that hasn't changed at all. If anything, it's getting worse. We're talking about a hyperinflation that is projected to be 10 million%, according to the Monetary Fund. Just to translate this into everyday life, we're talking about prices changing literally every day. Sometimes even in the supermarket, this is something I've witnessed. Being in the supermarket and checking the price 2 or 3 times and see how they change it over an hour. And let's not forget, this is a country that it's reaching up to 70% poverty. We're talking about families that eat only just one meal a day, and even that they have to share a minimum wage that's about $8, $6 to $8 a month. I mean, the life's still falling, and now the politics are just pushing towards the edge.
I want to ask, in the context of this hyperinflation, when the value of the currency keeps diminishing, does this affect the loyalty of the troops whose paychecks are also becoming worth less and less?
Well, that is what experts say. It's happening exactly that, and that is why the defense minister, when he spoke immediately after, a congressman in exile, an opposition congressman in exile, jumped to Twitter and said, "Wait a minute, because this person that just appeared on TV, the defense minister that is, doesn't represent the troops. He represents the high ranks officials who are involved in criminal activities, who the United States has sanctioned already. But the troops are the real movement that, according to him and to the opposition, are with the opposition. They doesn't like this anymore. They want to change. Is this really going to happen? Well, we really don't know, because high rank officials have too much power. Let's not forget we're talking about a 20-year regime giving power and money and business to the military. For the opposition, it's very complicated what they're looking for, what they're asking of the military.
All right, New York Times reporter Ana Vanessa Herrero joining us via Skype from Caracas tonight. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
Glass ceilings are always hard to crack, and the one that stands above symphony conductors in the classical music world is no different from the rest. But women are slowly rising in the ranks of the nation's smaller ensembles. And tomorrow, at a performance by the San Francisco Civic Symphony, one such woman will take to the podium. PBS NewsHour Weekend Special Correspondent Joanne Jennings has the story of one maestra's journey from a poor neighborhood in East Los Angeles to the rostrum in San Francisco. This story is part of our ongoing series about poverty and opportunity in America, Chasing the Dream.
It's the first rehearsal of the season for San Francisco's Civic Symphony. The all-volunteer orchestra is composed of some 90 amateur musicians, ranging in age from 18 to 80.
Some of them are retired, some of them are students, a lot of professionals, either in the tech industry, in the arts, business owners, lawyers, doctors, you name it. Heavy on the accents, please.
At the helm is 38-year-old Jessica Bejarano. She's not your typical classical music conductor.
Being that I grew up in a poverty-stricken city of Los Angeles, predominantly Hispanic, classical music wasn't a thing. It was not a thing. So it wasn't part of the public school education. It wasn't part of my family tradition. It wasn't part of, parties that we would go to. We wouldn't go to the symphony hall. Like, that wasn't a thing.
The Mexican-American conductor was raised by a single mother in a tough section of East Los Angeles.
She worked 3 different jobs and raised, my brother and my little sister. And she did the best that she could, to give us the best life that she could. I clearly remember, when it was trash nights, my mother and my aunt would literally walk around the city and collect cans and bottles to recycle them. They would collect, broken appliances that they would fix and sell at a yard sale or at a swap meet. And I remember at that point feeling very ashamed and embarrassed that my mother was a trash digger.
While her mother worked hard to keep food on the table, at 10 years old, Bejarano developed an interest in music.
It kept me engaged in school. It kept me looking forward to the next day where I could pull out the trumpet out of the case and play in the band.
You've said that music saved your life. I mean, is it that dramatic?
I would say it was very dramatic because, unfortunately, kids get arrested, kids are murdered, kids are imprisoned, kids get pregnant, and so I defied all those odds. I didn't become any of those statistics because music was always there to keep me, on a straight path.
Bejarano played trumpet in her high school's marching band, but she wasn't exposed to classical music until she enrolled in an orchestral class at Pasadena City College.
So I'm sitting there playing the trumpet in the orchestra and just playing this repertoire and hearing the music around me. It was just like, oh my God, what is this? What is this? I was instantly drawn to the music, to the ensemble, to the setting, to the whole experience of it.
Bejarano decided she wanted to be a conductor and a music educator. She was awarded a scholarship at the University of Wyoming and earned a master's degree at UC Davis. But despite her achievements, Bejarano wasn't always taken seriously.
I remember at one point I was asked if I was serious about being a conductor, and I said, yeah, absolutely. And the teacher proceeded to say, maybe you should go back to your country because it's not going to happen in mine. And I was told that the lesson was done and I was asked to leave the office. And I remember leaving confused more than anything. I wasn't upset, I wasn't angry, I wasn't sad, I didn't cry. I was just in a daze of did that just happen?
Did it make you more determined?
Oh, of course. I allowed every experience to teach me something. Every time I was told, no, you can't be a director, or no, not gonna happen here. instead of, feeling deflated, I would take that no or that negative energy and use it to catapult me even further into my career, even further into, my dreams becoming a reality. It was more of an honor to have the opportunity to actually perform here.
In a field dominated by men, Bejarano dreams of eventually leading one of the nation's largest orchestras. In 2007, Marin Alsop was appointed music director of the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra, making her the first woman to hold such a position.
And since then, she's still the only woman that is music director of a Tier 1 orchestra. And I just don't understand why it's been so difficult for women, and I'm hoping that it will change as time unfolds.
When she's not conducting, Bejarano can be found teaching music at University High School in San Francisco.
Short, now long.
Woven into her lessons are stories about the composers whose music her students are playing. Take, for example, Tchaikovsky.
The story of this man and what he went through in Russia, and him being, a gay man, and his only vehicle of expression, his only way of loving was through his music. And when you listen to his music, you feel it, you hear it.
For Bejarano, some compositions are deeply personal, like Beethoven's Piano Concerto No. 5.
I would listen to the second movement of the Beethoven Piano Concerto every morning, and it was like a source of inspiration for me. It would motivate me. It was like my musical Wheaties, and it helped me transition. For me, that piece also saved my life. It gave me peace. It gave me inner beauty, and it would give me momentum for the day.
And so, when Bejarano's mother fell ill in 2012, it felt natural to play it for her.
I remember I played that movement for her before she passed away, thinking that because it saved my life, it would save her life. And I played it for her, and it didn't save her life. And so I was mad at music after that for a while. Now as an adult, looking back at what my mom did, the sacrifices that she made to give us life, to give us a fighting chance, what a woman. What a woman.
It took a year for Bejarano to return to her music.
I got back into the swing of my life with even more momentum and even more thirst.
This past October, for the first time since her mother's death, Bejarano brought Beethoven's Piano Concerto No. 5 to the stage.
The fact of us putting it together and on stage is a pretty big deal for me. Like, I am back in music, and I'm good, I'm ready.
As we reported earlier this month, Asian carp, the fast-growing invasive species in lakes and rivers throughout the Mississippi Basin, have become a major issue in the Midwest, and officials are spending hundreds of millions of dollars to stop them from entering Lake Michigan. One strategy, pay fishermen and get people to eat the carp. It's not normally a fish dish in America, but the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign is serving up thousands of pounds of Asian carp a year, filling students' bellies with a cheap and local source of protein while helping solve a major invasive species problem.
We got some big heads, grass carp and silver carp. I'm Clint Carter, and I'm a commercial fisherman. We caught fish today in Peoria, Illinois. We caught about 4,000 pounds. We went out about 7 o'clock in the morning, and there were 7 fish brought here today. These fish were alive about 4 hours ago, so they're fresh. I've been working with the U of I for probably around 3 years now.
In my career, I never met a fisherman actually caught the fish, and it's great to know who the fisherman is. I'm Su-Hua Yu. My title is production chef at the Pennsylvania Avenue Dining Hall. In the Midwest, it's hard to get fresh fish. Fortunate to have Clint bring the fresh fish as we need it all the time. Thank you.
My name is Kit Smith. I'm the Assistant Director of Dining for Procurements. We have a sustainable seafood program. The silverfin, the carp is part of that program. The issue is in our own backyard. We figured that we have a good source of protein with our own river system, so we wanted to take advantage of that and help solve the issue that we have with the species.
These fish are very widespread. They're causing a lot of trouble. They kind of take over, so eating them not only reduces the risk for the Great Lakes, but creating a demand for them puts people like me out there to get them out of the water and let other fish bounce back in the entire 20+ states they've actually taken over. So
the two biggest challenges, one is obviously the previous reputation that the fish has had over the years. People think carp, they think muddy or bottom feeder. You may hear the term trash fish, but we prefer the term underloved fish. But the other big hurdle is the amount of bones. It's a very bony fish.
This fish is a little difficult to work with because there's a lot of bones on it. Today I prepared the Japanese style, Chinese style, and like a South American style. The Japanese style is just like a smoked carp with a bed of rice served with the green tea. Deep fried carp, we do like Cantonese style, and carp cake, silverfin slider, we do it once a week.
We're averaging about anywhere from about 9,000 to 11,000 pounds a year, but it grows month by month as we get more recipes. The current college students, Gen Z, they're more open to diverse and new food experiences. They're just trying to think out the box, try something different. A lot of times it's just getting people to try that first bite.
That's my favorite, this one.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Invasive species are always a huge problem. I mean, I think since there's a surplus of this, I think it was a really great way to use it. And I love the dish.
No, I did not know anything about silverfin. Something brand new to me that I've never knew about, and it's actually really delicious.
I'm almost out of fish, so it seems like everybody enjoyed it. So I'm almost out of fish, which is good.
For some of the recipes used to prepare Asian carp at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, visit pbs.org/newshour.
This is PBS NewsHour Weekend, Saturday.
Washington State's Governor Jay Inslee has declared a measles outbreak there a public health emergency. More than 30 cases of measles have been reported since the beginning of January, most in Clark County on the state's southern border with Oregon. At least 26 of the cases are in people who were not vaccinated for the highly contagious disease. Public health officials have identified dozens of locations where people may have been exposed to measles, and warnings are also in effect in Oregon and Idaho. So far, only one patient is hospitalized. Rescuers in Brazil continued the search for survivors near a dam collapse at an iron ore mine that killed at least 34 people. More than 300 people are still missing after mud and debris buried nearby structures belonging to the mining company Vale. The company, the largest producer of iron ore in the world, was ordered to shut down operations. A larger dam in the same region of southeastern Brazil owned by Vale and other companies collapsed in 2015, killing 19 people, contaminating a nearby river, and causing the country's worst environmental disaster. Taliban officials in Qatar said today that U.S. negotiators have agreed to a draft peace deal after 6 days of talks. If approved, the deal would lead to the withdrawal of foreign forces from Afghanistan 18 months from the signing of the agreement. The U.S. Special Representative Zalmay Khalilzad tweeted about the talks on his way to brief Afghanistan's President Ashraf Ghani in Kabul, writing, quote, "Meetings here were more productive than they have been in the past. We made significant progress on vital issues." Despite efforts to end the Yellow Vest protests in France, demonstrators were in the streets for the 11th straight weekend. Police used tear gas, and the protests continued into the evening in Paris. 80,000 police were deployed throughout the country. The protests began in November against a fuel tax hike, but have grown to include many economic policies launched by President Emmanuel Macron. Join us tomorrow for a report on a battle over mining titanium on untouched land on South Africa's wild coast. That's all for this edition of PBS NewsHour Weekend. I'm Hari Srinivasan. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.
PBS NewsHour Weekend is made possible by Bernard and Irene Schwartz, Sue and Edgar Wachenheim III, Seton Melvin, the Cheryl and Philip Milstein family, Dr. P. Roy Vagelos and Diana T. Vagelos, the JPB Foundation, Rosalind P. Walter, Barbara Hope Zuckerberg. Corporate funding is provided by Mutual of America, designing customized individual and group retirement products. That's why we're your retirement company. Additional support has been provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Be more PBS.